Hello cherubs, thank you so much for joining me for this unboxing. This is one of the best parts of my job, receiving decks and unboxing them, giving you my first impressions of them, playing with them, using them for my clientele. All of that makes me feel very, very good about my chosen vocation in this lifetime. I love looking at tarot imagery. I love looking at oracle imagery. I love really investing myself, my emotion, my thought into a finished creation and looking at the 78 cards for fully formed, coming out from somebody's creative intelligence, and really considering what has happened here, what was the meaning, and how does this connect to the standardized definitions, and how does this give me more, how does this give me something to jump off of and into. That is just dreamy, dreamy, dreamy. I could do that for whole days, nights, weeks, months. Today, I would like to thank the lovely, lovely people at Liminal 11 for sending me the Cosmic Slumber Tarot to have a look at. I've been holding this one for a while, meaning to unbox it. And it's actually quite appropriate that it was sent to me by the amazing people at Liminal 11 because I'm in a liminal space right now. It's early here in England. I've only just woken up. I'm feeling a little bit airy, ethereal, not quite touching the ground, and I've got some coffee because I need some, because I'm just feeling pretty much still half asleep, and I think that this might be the perfect moment to open the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. So I'm really, really thrilled to be able to get into this and talk a little bit about the imagery. Okay. Oh, let me just adjust myself a little bit over here and have some coffee. Oh, blimey, I really needed that, I tell thee. Okay, so let me talk you through a little bit about what the Cosmic Slumber Tarot is all about, darlings, before I go ahead and get into it. It is the creation of a cartoonist and illustrator from Austin, Texas called Tillie Walden. Now, I've had a little look into Tillie Walden on the Liminal 11 website. Tillie is very celebrated and recognised. She has received awards, she has received acclaim, she's evidently a creative powerhouse, and so I'm very excited to be opening this. On the Liminal 11 website, it says, if the universe were to sleep, where would her dreams lead? Hand-painted and bursting with colour, the Cosmic Slumber Tarot evokes imagery from subconscious and subliminal states. It's a tarot deck energised by a soulful warmth from award-winning comics prodigy Tillie Walden. And before I get into it as well, let me just say that Tillie graduated from the Centre for Cartoon Studies in Vermont. And I don't know, I just think that sounds awesome. She graduated from the Centre for Cartoon Studies. You can't say fairer than that, darlings. I have had a look a tiny little bit at some of the online imagery, obviously, because I'm very selective about decks that I take for review, unboxing, giving my public opinion on decks. There are some things that I'm looking for in decks that I agree to have a look at. Of course, I'm always super grateful to be approached to have a look at decks. I mean, the idea that my opinion would be valued and that it would be important for a deck's creator or publisher to send a deck to me is just, it's amazing, and I'm so fortunate. However, I also am picky because I don't want anybody wasting time, money, energy, postage to send me something that I don't really think I'm going to pretty much love and use. Obviously, I'm going to have my opinions about different cards, and I'm going to get into that with the unboxing, but I'm not going to take something that's just wildly out of my taste that I just know that I'm probably not going to use for clients, and it's probably not going to get any airtime on my socials. So I do like to have a look and really feel my way into whether or not I'm going to be able to work with the deck, and I did fall very much in love with the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. So I'm not going to talk you through what it's like and why I found myself thinking I would like it. I'm just going to get into it, and you can see for yourselves, darlings. All right. So let me rip this open. Obviously a very different style here for the packaging. Usually we're looking at a cardboard box of some kind, whether it's hard cardboard or not so much. But with the Cosmic Slumber, you've got yourself a tin here. It's kind of like this beautiful galactic biscuit tin. So this is really beautiful and different. So yeah, this is a really nice touch here. And you've got the tools of the 4 elements on the back of the tin. So the chalices, pentacles, wands and swords on the back there. So that's really nice to see. And yeah, just this sort of planetary imagery on the sides, the crescent moons and the planets in space. I'm going to go ahead and take the top off if I can with my weak morning arms. There we go. Okay. Oh, I've got some lovely packaging in here. So there is a Cosmic Slumber Tarot bag. Beautiful. I love that colour. Oh, it matches my nails. That was that wasn't intentional. Wasn't intentional, that's just a mistake. But it's a wonderful one, isn't it? Bit of colour coordination, accidental colour coordination there. I don't know why I've decided to be massively northern in this video, but as I said, I'm still half asleep, genuinely. It is like 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh, here we go. This is a really lovely tarot cloth. How beautiful is that, by the way? That is something that you would put in your bag for rituals and spells and stuff if you were going away, if you were going travelling. That is a really lovely travelling witch's altar cloth, I would say. Very nice. And of course I would desecrate the Wicca-centric vibe, and I wouldn't have anything to do with the 4 elements in the 4 corners or anything like that. I would just have my random crap all over it, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. Okay. Oh, it says here, I hereby certify that this is a copy of the Cosmic Slumber Tarot Special Edition, limited to 1,111 copies, and it's signed by Tillie Walden. That's so lovely. Okay, and now we are getting into the deck. There's something on top of it that's interesting me. What's this? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Ooh. Oh, that's beautiful. So this is like a really gorgeous sort of like gallery image, a trio of images that the sun goes through. It's sort of not luminescent. Is it opaque? Is that what I'm looking for, where you can see through it? And I'm assuming that you put this up against the window and the light comes through it, and it's basically like a stained glass window effect. That is absolutely beautiful. Wow. Oh, I feel spoiled now. I feel spoiled, darlings. I can't handle this. This is like Christmas. It's like I woke up and decided that today was going to be Christmas. Wow. That's absolutely beautiful. And I've got here a book with the images inside it of the major arcana. I won't show you now because we're going to get into it, but that's also absolutely beautiful. And that in its own right would make a really beautiful gift and feels like a really beautiful gift to me. In the front, in the introduction, there's a message here from Tillie Walden. Creating a tarot deck is surprisingly challenging. Like all meaningful relationships, where you start is not necessarily where you arrive. It's much more fluid than that. Symbols that felt like flourishes became central, moving the focus, and sometimes there was an epiphany that caused the entire picture to shift. It's almost like the deck has a mind of its own, and a changeable one at that. The thing that surprises me is that Tillie thought it was surprising that a 78 image project would be challenging. Obviously you are a powerhouse, Tillie, because I would say right off the bat that I would imagine making 78 images in some kind of creative cohesion with each other would be challenging. In fact, it's terrifying to me. So well done you for being surprised at the challenge of that. That makes me feel actually quite envious of you. Okay, so here is the box. Really beautiful, sturdy box with gorgeous colour. And on the back, it says hand painted and bursting with colour. So it's the same description as on the Liminal 11 website. The Cosmic Slumber Tarot evokes imagery from the subconscious and subliminal states. Now let me figure out how one gets into this. Okay, it's got a magnetic clasp at the bottom. The snap clasp is at the bottom. That's really interesting. Oh wow, that's a lot of faith in that magnet to feel that it's going to hold the deck, which pops out like that. And it is a very sturdy, very beautiful box. So, okay, let's get into it. Inside it, you've got the same design as they've done for the Modern Witch Tarot. For the many of you who've owned that, it's the exact same design, except that there's a magnetic clasp at the bottom here. I know lots of people are lamenting that the Modern Witch Tarot didn't have that, but of course improvements are made as we go along with designs for things. Oh, beautiful silver edge there. Wow, that woke me up. Woo, I'm sure it woke everybody up. That's beautiful. That is really, I mean, spacey, isn't it? And you've got the little white book here. Very beautifully made, very sturdy. That's going to last you a lifetime, no problem. And again, on the inside, you've got the images of the 4 tools there. Sacred magical tools. Darlings, when I showed you the little white book, did I call it a little black book? I really feel like I might have done. little black book, little white book. This is the little white book. As usual, I'm going to show you a little bit of the LWB. I'm going to let you know what the table of contents is. This is the table of contents page right there. Very pretty. And so you've got a long forward, quite a long forward, which is lovely to see from the creator. So lots of thoughts from the creator. And then you've got a page full of introduction. It says in the introduction, this deck is about the peace we feel when we're in a deep slumber and the excitement we feel upon waking. How appropriate is it that I've decided to do this unboxing now in my own liminal morning space? A parallel world of omens and portents, archetypes, miracles and revelations. All these double meanings there to be unwound, and in doing so, bringing more clarity to the waking world. That sounds like it sounds like a strong theme, but a theme that could go in lots of different directions. So I really love that. Then it goes into the explanation of the major arcana, and you've got these small images there for each of the major arcana cards, and 2 good sizable paragraphs. Very, very tiny writing though, darlings. So you might need your reading glasses depending on how your eyesight is. And then it goes into the minor arcana straight away, again with these beautiful illustrations framing the side, so very decorative. And you've got a couple of pages each for the meanings for the minor arcana. So you've got like sort of a couple of sentences for each of them. And again, just really beautiful illustrations throughout, guiding you through these meanings. Then at the back, you have got some tarot spreads. Oh, you've got a page and a half on how to read the tarot, which is awesome. That's sort of considering those people for whom this might be their very first deck. And then, yes, some tarot spreads. You've got some 4-card spreads there. You've got the Celtic cross and some 4-card spreads, including past, present, future and advice, positive, negative, result and advice, and even an explanation of how to do a daily draw. So this is really, really beautiful. At the back, there's a page that explains what the 2 bonus cards are. So there are 2 bonus cards that we're going to be looking at here. Very interesting bonus cards. I won't give away what they are just yet because we will get into them when I come across them in the actual unboxing. So let me slip off this plastic that keeps the cards together. Let's have a look at the backing. That's very beautiful and fiery, that backing. So you've got that sort of lavender border on the back, and then this gorgeous fiery sort of it looks like a really old painting of the sun with these roots coming out of it, or a kind of sunset type of vibe or sunrise vibe with this beautiful growing nucleus slash sunshine in the middle. That's the vibe I'm getting from it anyway. Little bit of a change there in what I'm doing with my hair because I was playing around with it too much and it was getting in my bloody face. So there we go. Let's put it under a hood and hopefully I won't faff around with it as much as I have been. Now, darlings, I'm going to let you know now, very thin stock. For those of you who prefer the thicker stock, this is going to be something where you're going to have to fall in love a little bit with the imagery to make it worth the stock that is problematic for you. As always, I will say that for me, as long as the stock is not bending, you know, scratching away, anything like that, I don't mind having the sort of cheaper playing card stock. Also, this silver edge might sort of give you a few points back if you're someone that really likes super thick postcard stock, and that's not what this is about, but you also really do like the kind of gilding you can see from space, then that might give you a few points back on here. Okay, by the way, can I just say I also love the clash of the sort of like yellow, red, gold vibe with the silver on the side, because I really like the clash of gold and silver, and I always really have. So that's just a random little point for me as well that I really like. Okay, now as always with my unboxings, darlings, this is not a walkthrough. I'm not going to be giving you detailed description of every single card. We're not going through the entire thing. I'm going to go through, I'm going to shuffle through it in order, and I'm going to let you know what comes to my mind. And as I'm talking about the cards that I feel are significant to talk about, that I feel I've got something to say on, you will notice that I will cut away. So you'll be able to see a close-up of that card and get the detail of that card. So I feel called to start with the Fool in this particular case. I want to talk about just right off the bat how I feel going into this particular colour scheme and this particular world. I really very much enjoy the Fool in this deck because the perspective is kind of different for one. Usually we're looking at the Fool kind of face on or just from the side, but basically head on. And in this deck, we are looking at the Fool very much from the side angle, which I find to be different and interesting. You've got some red here in this image, some orange, some pink, and some yellow, all sort of jostling for position, making this very beautiful sort of watercolor sensation in the sky. And then you've got that lick of very green grass there. You've got the dog pulling the Fool figure back, and look what the Fool is wearing. You've got the knapsack, is that what it's called? What is it called? The sort of the bag on a stick. You've got that, and you have got this just incredible coat. It looks basically like a little bit of a magician coat kind of vibe. And yeah, that's very interesting with the purple boots. I just really love that particular outfit there. So that does it for me. There is something very different and interesting happening in the High Priestess card that I simply must show you. First of all, you've got the upper half of the face being obscured by this very thick sort of fringe on the headdress. You've got a throne of what I can only describe as crystal. That is a crystal throne behind her, crystal chair. So I love that. But look at this. In the middle, she's opening up a doorway that is positioned inside her stomach / chest area. And there is actually a figure inside the doorway. So you've got this luminous doorway glowing, and there's the figure inside. So here's where we really get down to brass tacks, how much for the monkey, where Tillie has decided we're going into dreamland. I'm welcoming you into this incredible sort of dreamy world where things are not as they would seem to be in waking life. So I'm going to really sit with the meaning of that doorway, and I'm going to let that speak to me, because that is just a very beautiful creative decision there from Tillie. And I'm reaching for the book because I want to see if there is anything in there about that doorway. So let me just have a very quick look. In the little white book, Tillie is definitely giving me the opportunity to decide for myself what I feel about the doorway. It says here, the secrets the High Priestess contains may be difficult to accept. There is often hardship in crossing new boundaries, but have faith in her power. So there's this beautiful couple of paragraphs about the High Priestess. At no point does it describe the meaning from the creator's perspective of the doorway, which is fine because I always have plenty of my own ideas. I just wondered if there was going to be something in there about the doorway with the figure inside. But darlings, that is a really interesting touch, very beautiful, and it definitely made me feel something. Now with the Empress, we are definitely going for the traditional mother imagery. This time the baby has been born and is actually on the breast of the mother. Again, you've got this very beautiful sort of colour scheme situation of the yellow sky with purple clouds, and one of the clouds raining down over the Empress's head. And then the Empress appears to be inside the water. This looks like water to me, the splashing waves coming up against the Empress's legs there, and it's this amazing colour combination, this ombre of kind of like the purples and moody maroons in the back, then going into the reds and oranges, and then sort of coming down into pink, and then going into orange and some elements of yellow there as well. And you've got that incredible green, earthy, abundant dress that's growing. So really, there's a lot to consider here. And even though we are going for that traditional mother imagery or mother and child imagery, I do think as well that there is just something so eye-catching and so sort of head-turning about this card that I definitely would sit with that for perhaps a lot longer than I might otherwise. The colour is beautiful, really beautiful. I also can't help but notice that the expression on the Empress's face does not necessarily seem to be one of happiness, contentment, joy at the process of being a mother. I feel like I can see the Empress's concerns there, the effort, the responsibility of nurturing this this creative force that she's brought into the world. And I can definitely relate to that from a kind of creatrix point of view, which is one of the main ways that I connect with the Empress's maternal sort of symbolism, is looking at it from the perspective of being somebody who does feel like I have children and I do nurse babies and I am in labour sometimes, but it's with other things. It's with other kinds of project. It's with other kinds of life rather than actually human life. So if I said that in a really weird way, because I'm really am, you know, only just awake, darlings, I meant I'm not a mother of actual babies and I never plan on being. So for me, I take the mother aspect of the Empress and I place it in other areas. Not that you can't do that if you are actually a mother of human babies. Of course, the Empress is really a representation of the creative force in life in general. At the risk of it seeming as though I'm going to talk about every single major arcana card, darlings, which I'm not, but at the risk of it seeming as though I'm going to, would you please just stop a moment what you're doing and take a goddamn look at the Emperor for one moment in time? There is a lot going on here. This is some serious Wicker Man shit. And I'm really very much living for it. Wow, that red sky in the background is incredible with all of those branches, those leafy branches, and that beautiful sun, that sort of like coppery sun with the luminous aura around it. And then you've got that reflected on the chest plate of this really rather far out looking emperor holding a lamb in their lap with this beautiful wand scepter thing that looks like something that you would get in a small rural English village on May Day. And the Emperor is wearing the skull of the ram. Wow. And it looks as though the Emperor is shielding the lamb with an actual shield. And the lamb is kind of like nuzzling into the shield for warmth, protection, or to hide. Again, really some very far out looking Wicker Man shit going on here. And I absolutely love it and I'm living for it. It looks incredible. It looks absolutely incredible. Wow. That's something else that hit me very much differently, darlings, very much differently. Oh wow, this Lovers card is unbelievable. It's critical, it's necessary, it's everything I want. Look at the color scheme here. Again, you've got these beautiful hues almost sort of watercoloring together in some way. You've got this green sun, and this is very dreamy. Then you've got the big image of the individual person holding in their hand the couple with the tree. Then you've got the angel inside the big silhouette sort of what's the word, profile of the person, not silhouette but the profile. You've got the angel inside the profile holding again a set of lovers with a tree. This is extremely dreamy. And then you've got these sort of flowers in the background floating in the air. This is really very much a beautiful dream sequence. And I feel like I really enjoy the fact that there's one big profile of one figure and you're not seeing any lover actually with that figure, but you're seeing inside that figure the angel holding the couple and the figure themselves is holding a couple, because that is really interesting. It's almost like saying that the Lovers card in this deck is about the relationship with self, and that everything you need is ultimately inside of you, and every relationship is a reflection of you, or that's how I read it anyway. That's my very Jungian read of that Lovers card. Ooh, the Strength card is very interesting. The figure in the Strength card inside this beautiful red-pink jungle situation is putting their hand into the lion's mouth, and actually it looks like they're about to close the lion's mouth on their hand, which is giving me Tyr and Fenrir vibes for anybody who is Norse mythology literate. This is very exciting. This is very exciting for me because Tyr is my patron. So I'm very connected to Tyr, or Tyr. Tyr. Stop trying to say it, Kellyanne. Stop it. There's nothing Scandinavian about you, darling. Well, there probably is, to be fair. I haven't done one of those things, DNA things. But anyway, I'm very Irish, so I'm sure I'm quite Viking. Let me take a sip of drink here. Tyr is a very important Norse god. He's a god of oaths and justice and war, and he is known as the Leavings of the Wolf because of a particular story where he places his hand into Fenrir Fenrir's mouth. So you can check that out. But that's what that very much reminds me of, sweethearts. So that is really lovely to see, and it gives a new layer of meaning to that card for me personally. The Devil is an interesting mirror of the Lovers, which I really enjoy because I very much like the relationship and the interplay between the themes of the Devil and the Lovers. I like putting the Devil and the Lovers side by side, just as I often like putting the Emperor and the Empress side by side. You know, there's a connection there. For me, Devil and Lovers are very, very connected. In my feeling of it, that is a strong sort of association for me. And I really love the fact that the Devil mirrors the Lovers. You've got the profile of the figure holding one of the chained people, then you've got the Devil inside the profile of the figure, and then you've got the other chained person, and they're both connected to the Devil, but the Devil is holding the other one of them. And interestingly, you've got a hand holding the scene, and there's money falling into the hand. So there's quite a lot to think about here. And I do notice that the figure has an inverted pentagram on their face that seems to be bleeding, and also wearing horns as well. So there's just a lot. There's a lot to get to here. There's a lot to consider and think about. We go now into the Suit of Wands, which is known as the Suit of Torches in this particular deck. So let's have a look at what we've got going on here. Two of Torches is very beautiful. We've got a cave formation here, a beautiful sort of rosy cave formation with two red doorways in front of this figure, and then the torches are stuck into holes in the cave. So there's very much this profound choice happening. There's definitely something very dreamlike for me in this card, but I think it's also, yeah, there's something a little bit nightmarish basically about this card. It's kind of scary. I don't really want to go through either of those doors, and yet I feel compelled to choose one of them. I also do notice, and maybe this is just me, but I think that the cave formation that these doors are carved into looks like a brain. It reminds me of the human brain, the two hemispheres of the human brain, the sort of weird knotted look of the human brain. So that's something that to me speaks very strongly as well in that particular card. Eight of Torches is very dreamy. This whole suit, actually, the Suit of Torches, my darlings, is very dreamy. So, you know, there's very much this sensation that I'm back asleep where I was an hour ago. This is very interesting. Eight of Torches, you're kind of sailing, you're floating, you're swimming, you're underwater, or you're in the sky. And you've got the torches floating around you like big matches, and that red sun very far away in the background. It really does make me question, am I underneath? Am I underwater? Am I above in the sky looking down at the world below me? Am I high above the sun? Or is the sun to the side of me? Like, what is happening here? It's making me feel very disorientated, and I think that's a really beautiful effect that has been achieved there. So the creator has gone for Princess and Prince instead of Page and Knight for the court cards, and you've got a really lovely collection of court cards here. There are cats in the court cards for Torches, and I'll show you a couple of them. First of all, Princess of Torches. You've got the Princess of Torches very, very action ready here, with fire all around and asteroids in the background and just a lot of momentum and a lot of scary stuff happening, and these big mountain formations in the background. But then you've got what looks like a sleeping cat, or a very chilled out cat anyway, on the princess's back. I think that cat doesn't look like it's hanging on for dear life. It looks like it's just curled up, chilling on the back of the neck, which again offers a dreamlike effect, but also to me it suggests that there's a lot of grace and a lot of precision, a lot of understanding in what Princess of Torches is doing, so that even though it looks like it's a very chaotic, very scary, very lethal scene, she's sort of going about it in such a way that the cat is able to sleep on her back. That's the vibe that I get. And then with Prince of Torches, you've got the more traditional sensation of the figure riding on horseback, except it's cat back in this card. And it's funny because Prince of Torches is holding onto the cat's forehead, and the cat doesn't look too impressed about it. And again, you've got the fire, you've got the massive sort of mountainous formations in the background. The wand is being held aloft there, and it looks like a bit of a war cry is happening. So I really like that. Ace of Cups is very dreamy. You've got the figure actually coming out of the cup, emerging from the cup there, and the water falling over, somewhat like a blanket. There's a material feeling with that water, which is interesting because that's quite personal for me, because I have dreams sometimes where the ocean is made out of blankets or sheets. It's made out of material. So that's kind of a personal thing for me, I suppose. You're really getting full frontally, visually overloaded with blue here and water. I mean, the element of water is being very much stressed as we move into the suit of cups. Three of Cups is quite witchy in this particular deck. There seems to be a beautiful dreamlike ritual going on here. You've got the three figures huddled together, wearing the same clothing, this sort of green ritual dress, and then holding their cups up to the sky to take the precipitation down from the clouds. Very beautiful, and I really love the colours in that one. Four of Cups is asleep by the shoreline. Very beautiful image from above there of the figure sleeping, holding onto one of the cups, and then with the other three in that row, and the feet being licked by the water. So that's very beautiful. Princess of Cups is a really interesting one. Here you see the princess actually holding the cup of overflowing water for this beautiful, what I can only describe as a purple swan to drink. The princess has taken off her crown and placed it down by her side, and is really interfacing and interacting with this creature, I suppose in a way where they're both equals. That's how I feel about the crown being set down at the side there. Prince of Cups is amazing. You've got these fish coming out of this beautifully painted water, and Prince of Cups just, there's a deity vibe here. There's a beautiful water deity thing happening, and you can see the water coming from the cup and going up into the clouds. So yeah, I love this. This is gorgeous. All of the blue framing that figure that looks to be confidently walking on into the water. So that's really beautiful. Sorry, words are failing me. I'm still tired. Let me have a little bit more coffee. Queen of Cups looks actually quite drunk, darlings. She's sat on a little island with starfish and shells. Very beautiful. The hair flowing back, a gorgeous clash of red and pink, which I absolutely love. And you've got the maybe sort of seashells and crystals or whatever they are, flowers in the crown. And she is holding up that empty cup to get that last drop out of that empty cup, looking quite disappointed that there isn't more there to be had. So that's definitely something to work with in terms of imagery. One of the shadows of Queen of Cups that I quite like to work with is the shadow of the overgiver, and the person who sort of fixes and saves and gives herself to every situation without considering her own needs. Perhaps she is just there in the process of recognizing that she doesn't have enough left for herself. So I'll definitely have to think about that. And I think the other thing with that as well is the drunkenness, the feeling that she's had too much high emotion and is perhaps being too sensitive or overwrought. So I will definitely consider that as well. Ace of Swords is incredibly dreamlike. You've got, again, that beautiful raspberry ripple clash of the white, pink and red, which I absolutely love with this deck. I love that colour combination. For me, the clash of red and pink is one of the most sumptuous dances of colour that I tend to see. And you've got this gigantic sword being held by this arm that kind of feels like it's your arm from the point of view. And then you've got this tiny little figure leaning up against the blade, which you could say is dangerous for one, but is also giving you that very dreamlike quality. Three of Swords has a nightmarish quality to it. You've got the figure lying down inside this sort of weird, milky, smolchy, sort of floaty vibe, energy, if you will. You've got two swords pointing upwards from the body and one going down, piercing the body. And that is a very high impact image there. Five of Swords is very spacey. You've got the figure at the top with two swords looking down from the clouds at this figure on another cloud, looking back up, separated by planets and, you know, galaxy vibes in the background. So these are two people that are not necessarily able to get to each other. They have separated onto two separate clouds. They're still regarding each other. They're still having some degree of interaction. They're locking eyes, as it were, but they are not actually on the same piece of cloud. So they cannot imminently engage in battle of any kind. And it could be that they are saying goodbye to each other because one of them has disembarked onto another cloud and is going away. It could be that they're coming closer together so they can actually have this interaction close up. Or it could be that they are in stasis. They are in stalemate at the moment. They are basically just sort of regarding each other from afar, and there is going to be no up close face-to-face battle imminent. So there's a lot to think about there, and that is definitely for me a card that hits somewhat close to home actually. So that's a really interesting depiction. Look at this incredible warrior 8 of swords. I really love the battle energy here, the grace and beauty of the way that the figure is standing, the way that those swords are sort of in that perfectly straight line behind. And then, yeah, the swords sort of plunged into the ground below. Again, you've got those planets in the background, that feeling of being out in the galaxy and really honouring that dreamlike theme. 10 of Swords is a very, very beautiful depiction of this energy. You've got the body down below, almost sinking into the land below it with the 10 swords plunged in. That's very usual imagery. But then on the top, you've got the same figure having escaped the cage of the body, if you like, going on into transformation, rejoining spirit, light and airy like the clouds around. And really beautiful. You can see there the gown, you can see that sense of expansion and freedom, which is so much in stark contrast to that almost squished, crushed body down below that, as I said, is kind of sinking into the nutrients below it. So very much this beautiful symbol of rebirth, reincarnation, going back to spirit, going back to the ether. I mean, I don't know about you, darlings, but I'm not going to be fucking with Princess of Swords anytime soon. I really do not intend to. She looks like she is very much in charge of her fucking self, and I will definitely be standing aside and letting her come on through and just do whatever the hell it is she wants to do. That is a very charged, very bossy, very beautiful image there. And look at those wings. Wow. I love the armor. Everything about this is just perfect, gorgeous. Ace of Pentacles, you've got that full frontal, full throttle green happening there. And there's a tiny little figure. It's almost like a Where's Waldo or Where's Wally, depending on what side of the Atlantic you're on, darlings. You've got that little figure there sitting on that leaf, looking at the hand, coming to reach out to get that fruit of the pentacle that's resting there in all of that green. So that's really lovely to see. I really like that interpretation, and I think it would stand out inside a big spread like an emerald, and it would draw your eye to it. Ace of Pentacles in this deck is asking for your attention, unabashedly asking for your attention, and I really enjoy that. 5 of Pentacles offers a really beautiful contrast between that red sky in the background and then all of this wild green nutrition in the foreground. And we've got a feeling of striving here to reach the pentacles that might be just out of reach, and a feeling of kind of being swallowed by the density of that green abundance. So it's interesting because it's positive, but it's not positive. It's one of those dreams that could go either way. And it looks like quite a tiring dream, a dream that perhaps you would think of long into the rest of your day, but you would be quite glad that you woke up from at the same time. This is a very interesting depiction of 6 of Pentacles. This is definitely a card that would draw your eye to it in a reading, because you've got that very sort of dusty, mellow yellow that you don't see much in the rest of the deck, or certainly not in that quantity anyway. And you've got the figure, almost looks like the figure is pontificating or sort of off in their world, having very high-minded thoughts. And then empty-handed, the figure is reaching out to the bending figure or the begging figure, as we would traditionally see it. And that figure, you can only see the hands. The figure is out of sight. We do not get to have a relationship with that figure that is asking, that is reaching, that is inquiring. That figure has been cut away, and we're very much focused on this sort of arrogant looking figure that seems like, yeah, they're pontificating, or they're very much lost in their own world and their own sense of how things should be and what is going on for them. So that is quite an interesting depiction. Princess of Pentacles is absolutely beautiful, beautiful. This gorgeous forest vibe, forest jungle vibe. You've got the bull sort of nestling up against the princess's arm. I think the princess does look pregnant in this image. I'm certainly seeing this sort of typically pregnant belly raised sort of off to the side there. You've got that beautiful red bird in flight going to join its friends in the other branch. And there's some squirrels here as well down below. So that's really lovely, lovely to see. Now, darlings, I do want to show you the 2 bonus cards. The morning and the night is what the bonus cards are called. And you can see you've got one large head protruding there from the earth and the other in the night image protruding from the water. And then you've got smaller figures on top. So the smaller figure on the morning card is standing on the big figure's head, looking up at the sun in that very dramatic William Blake-esque situation that's happening in the sky. And then with the night card, you've got the figure gazing at the moon from a tree. I definitely will sit with these cards. I will think about whether or not I actually want to have them in the deck when I'm doing readings, which I know I certainly will be doing readings with this deck. This is a stunning deck. And yeah, my compliments to Tillie Walden for this. This is beautiful, beautiful. But with cards like bonus cards, for example, in the Naked Heart Tarot, there is a Naked Heart card. It's very beautiful, but I do not keep it in there for readings usually. Every once in a while I'll pop it back in, but usually it sits with my other kind of like bonus cards and novelty cards that I have in my reading area. I'll have to think about the night and the morning. Is there enough here for me to want to put this in and leave them in a traditional deck when I'm doing readings? Am I going to feel inconvenienced if one of these bonus cards comes up in a reading for a client? Or conversely, am I going to feel enriched? Am I going to feel like, oh, this is something different. This is something exciting. This is something that I can work with. I definitely think that that's the dialogue you have to have with yourself about bonus cards. You have to think to yourself, okay, is this going to be something where if it comes up for a client, it's going to interrupt the flow of my interpretation and I'm going to be too distracted by the fact that these are bonus cards? Or is it going to be the case that I'm so linked and I'm so connected emotionally to these bonus cards that I'll be glad if they come up and it won't inconvenience me if they come through? So I will think about that. Let me know, what do you think of this deck, darlings? What is the impression that you get from the cards that I've shown you today? Will you be investing in this deck? Have you invested in this deck already? Has this unboxing and first impressions made you pull the add to cart trigger? Let me know. I would love to know. And I'm very much looking forward to working more with this deck and figuring out my thoughts about it, journaling with it, path working with it. Thank you very much for sending this to me, Sarah Ray at Liminal11. I really do appreciate you so much for giving me the opportunity to look at this, work with it, and think more about about how I'm responding to it, basically. Darlings, the Cosmic Slumber Tarot, thank you so much for joining me for this unboxing and first impressions. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you would like to get a reading with me, all of my options are down below over at the store at kellyannemaddox.com. And don't forget that I also do one-to-one tarot mentoring. So if you're looking for somebody to shoot the shit with about tarot, if you want to talk to me about where you are with your tarot study, how you feel about the deck that you're using, how you feel about spread design, are you ready to read for others yet or not? Where are you stuck with your interpretations? Where have you got some problem cards? There are not a lot of people doing one-to-one tarot mentoring, having tarot chat sessions. So if you would like to get on board with that, then in a one-to-one way, rather than have pre-recorded lessons and things, if you want to talk to me one-to-one, bring your deck along, have a cup of tea and let's get into it, then I will also list down below for you the tarot chat sessions as well, so you can grab one of them. Okay, much love, darlings, until next time, and blessed be.